Buying a home? Don't panic. Just listen to the rest of this podcast. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Home Inspection Authority's Straight Talk Podcast with me, John LaForme. I'm a CREA certified home inspector from Los Angeles, California, and the topics we discuss on this podcast are about buying homes, selling homes, inspecting homes. So if you're a home inspector, home buyer, real estate professional, this podcast is definitely for you. Okay, so today's guest is Rick B. Albert.
That's right.
And you know what? You look a lot like that guy on YouTube.
I've had a couple views.
Yeah, a couple views on YouTube?
Yeah, just a couple.
Yeah, I was checking out your video earlier on ADUs because that's going to be today's topic. And the reason why I asked you to come in and talk about this is because you and I have had a few conversations recently, and you seem to be very knowledgeable about it, which means you have hands-on experience. I inspect ADUs, but I don't build them, and I haven't lived in one yet. So I think you got me beat 2-1 there. I think you've actually built one and lived in one, right?
Exactly. So we actually converted our garage to an accessory dwelling unit. My wife and I lived in the ADU and rented out the main house for about 2 years. And then now we live in the main house and rent out the ADU, and I help clients do the same.
Yeah. So let's talk about clients. You are a
realtor.
You are a realtor.
I am.
And
a good one, by the way.
Yes, you are a good one. And are you... you have your own business? Or you just work under a brokerage?
Yeah, so I work under a brokerage, L'America Real Estate.
Okay.
We're a boutique firm based out of Sherman Oaks. But one of our kind of niches is working with people who want to build wealth. So we're actually affiliated with a developer that does new construction homes.
Right.
One of my very first jobs moving down to Los Angeles was actually going to the courthouse steps and bidding on foreclosures.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and starting that process. That was a trip in 2010.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you have to bring a bat?
No, luckily not.
Wow, that must be, is it like, describe that for everybody. Is that like hectic? Is it like people screaming and yelling? Is it like people pushing? What was it about?
So at first it was a little daunting.
Yeah.
Because what it is you go to the courthouse and then it's essentially a live auction. So you can either, if let's say the starting price was 500,000, you can either say 10,000 over, or you can say 550, whatever. And so people were there. You had to have cashier's checks. So it wasn't like you could finance these properties. It wasn't like you can walk the property ahead of time. If there was people living in there, you were responsible for getting them out.
Right.
So, but no, it was fun. I have to admit, it was
a good
fun.
Experience.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So you learned a lot from that.
Sure. I was 22 years old, fresh out of college. Here's $1.5 million. Let's go bid on property. I'm like, it's like the most money I ever had in my hands. I'm like, sure, why not?
Yeah, sure. I'll be right back.
Yeah, right. In Mexico.
Yeah. That's hilarious, man.
Yeah.
So the reason why ADUs is kind of fresh in my mind right now is because, I've been running into a lot of strange things. Mm-hmm. And that's just by, what I mean by that is showing up to work to do a home inspection. And then I show up and there's another building in the back. And I'm like, oh, by the way, did you guys want me to inspect that building in the back? Well, yeah, that's not part of your fee. I'm like, well, no, it's a different building. And the look on their face is like, oh my God, like, what do you mean you're not going to look at it? Well, I can look at it, but I'm not going to do it for free.
Right. So
I look at the realtor. Typically, the realtors are scheduling me for their clients. Mm-hmm. So there's some bit of expectation between me and them, and I expect them to understand what an ADU is. And the fact that they didn't know it was there, I'm not quite buying that.
That seems odd.
I didn't know it
really
was
odd.
there, John. I'm like, what? How do you not know it was there? So this is your first time on the property as well as mine? Yes. Okay, so the listing mentioned nothing about an ADU or anything like that. Well, it's not permitted. Yeah, but it's still there. So in other words, if I was to walk straight in that direction, I'd probably bump into it. It's not like it doesn't exist because it doesn't exist on the county records. Okay, right. It's a building that's actually there. I can touch it. So that is mind blowing to me. That some of the responses I get, but I'm going to go one step better than that. This just recently happened a few weeks ago. I was called to do a property, and the square footage was approximately 2,300. And he says, yeah, it has 5 bedrooms and like 4 bathrooms. I'm like, how do you get that many bathrooms and bedrooms in that square footage? That's a lot. I said, is this a multifamily? No, it used to be a multifamily, but the flipper came in and turned it into a single family. I'm like, okay, I guess that could be interesting.
Yeah, some flippers do it.
Yeah, I don't, really have an opinion at that point. I'm like, well, okay, just has a lot of bedrooms, a lot of bathrooms. Here's the price, no problem. And I said, you sure there's no ADUs there? And once again, he reconfirmed there's no ADUs, but there are a couple of wet bars.
Well, why not?
I said, what do you mean there's a couple of wet bars? Well, yeah, there's a wet bar upstairs and there's a wet bar in the rear where one of the units used to be. I'm like, okay. So I show up and this place is clearly laid out as a main house with a junior ADU still under the same roof. And then on the second floor, completely different unit. Their own entrances, their own electrical sub panels, their own kitchens. And he really thought it was a wet bar. You know why he thought that? Because the seller told him that. So I said, okay, that is where you put the range. See that big opening between the cabinets and that gas line coming out? That's where the cooktop goes.
Ridiculous.
This is where the refrigerator goes. You see that little box down there? That's where the lines come out. So there's definitely some, I don't know how to word this. It's like, what do I do now? It's like, okay, right. So this is obviously a multifamily house, regardless of what anybody says. So here we go again. Once again, it doesn't say it on paper, John, so it can't be. That's the mentality I'm getting and the logic behind from what they're saying.
Okay.
That's their logic. Their logic is they're only going off what it says on paper. But if they're actually standing there in the building, they can't compute that there's 3 kitchens.
I mean, you're inspecting the physical attributes of a property. So what are the physical attributes? Well, here's what it is. Like, to me, that makes sense. Right? Which is what I would explain to you, which for the record, you're inspecting a property for my clients tomorrow. There is an ADU on the property. So in case you come and say, I did not know. I told you, and everybody's listening.
But that's it. I'm not being told. I'm asking the right questions, but I'm not getting the right answers. So yeah, it's like, it's a real head scratch. So, and that guy was about to, he goes, I got to take off for a little while. I'll be back. And then when he left is when I really had a chance to go through all the rooms and upstairs. I'm like, oh, this is definitely a multifamily. And I called him back. I said, you need to come back here. We need to talk. I said, I need more money for this if you want me to do all this. There was 4 electrical panels.
Wow.
There's 2 water heaters. 1, 2, what else? 2 laundry rooms. 3 kitchens. This was it's
a triplex.
Yeah, exactly. All under the same roof.
Yeah.
So that was the final one that got me to go, you know what? I need to talk about this. So that's why when I met you recently, through Ray Rodriguez, I went blank for a second there. Through Ray Rodriguez, who's recently on the show here. Yeah, you mentioned a couple of times you had some experience with this stuff. So I thought, you know what? You'd be a good guest to have to cover all this. So you being a realtor, how long have you been a realtor?
I've been a realtor since 2012. I've been in real estate since 2010.
Oh, got it. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've been around a minute. You know what's going on.
Yeah. I have a basic idea.
Yeah. So as far as ADUs go, first of all, ADU stands for Auxiliary Dwelling Unit, otherwise known as a granny flat or a guest house or, whatever you want to call it. You can call it whatever you like. It doesn't matter. Now, as a home inspector, I'm talking about this in my perspective as being a home inspector. However, there's other aspects to it as well. So if you're looking to buy a house and it comes with an ADU, but it's not permitted, well, that's one situation. You may buy a house that has an ADU that is permitted. That's a different situation. And then you may be buying a property to maybe convert it the garage to an ADU. I don't know why you would sacrifice your garage for an ADU, though. I'm a big fan of garages. I have stuff, and I need a garage, so I would never do that to my garage. But I will build an addition on the back of the garage.
Some people have done that.
Yeah, I'd do that so I can keep my garage. So your experience is you've probably dealt with all of it.
Yes. I actually had a client earlier this year buy a property where it was a 2-bed, 1-bath.
Right.
Unpermitted. So my client is going in and getting it all permitted.
Right.
So that's happening to one of my clients. She's actually going through that process now.
Now tell me about that in detail if you have details.
Sure.
Like is it costly? Is it all paperwork? What is it?
It's a mix of both.
All right.
So the problem is when you do any sort of construction without permits, you're also running the risk of what is to code.
Right.
And things may not be to code, or worse yet, things might be to code when it was done, but because there's no permits, every year codes change.
Right.
And it's not like the city inspectors are like, well, even though you built it illegally a couple of years ago, we're going to let it slide. So for my client, there was a couple of things she had to do. First, yes, she had to get the architectural plans done.
Right.
So an architect will go in and she'll draw up the plans. Here was proposed. So 2-bed, 1-bath, but also what's existing. So that way the city can compare. So,
okay. So now to be clear, this is a house that already has an ADU that wasn't permitted.
Correct.
So she still has to submit plans for what she wants it to look like because she's going to change it.
Correct.
Okay.
Because there were things not done to code.
I see.
So when you are converting a garage, as long as it's within the property lines, generally the city doesn't care. But any additions you do has to be within the required setbacks.
Sure.
Which is
4
4
feet.
feet.
Yeah. 4
Exactly.
feet. Yep.
Well, this one wasn't. So she was going to have to move a wall of about 2 feet in, and it was about 15 feet of just the portion that would be new construction. So that cost, I think, around $15,000.
Wow.
Right. So there was that work that needed to be done. The doors were only 30 inches instead of 32 inches per code. So there had to be reframing done.
I believe you and I ran into some of
Yeah,
that.
we did, which is why I knew immediately as I saw it. I'm like, that's not right because I just learned about this.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of that work that had to be done. So we had to go back to the seller and ask for a price reduction.
Yeah.
Because we're like, look, you told us that even though this was done without permits, you said it was done to code. It wasn't.
Whose code? Morse code?
Right? Oh my gosh. But yeah, you're right. So like there's all those problems.
Right.
Luckily, it did actually have its own sewer line.
Right.
So that was fine. But yeah, so you have to pay for the permits, the architectural fees, and then if there's anything not done to code, which is always tough because every inspector's different, and they might say you need to start opening up walls.
Right.
To see if the foundation was done correctly, shear walls, anything like that.
Right.
So it can be costly. I think it's costing her around $80,000 to do everything
For an ADU?
Yes, and that includes also remodeling it.
Okay,
so she is redoing the kitchen, redoing the bathroom.
Gold toilets and everything.
No, labor and materials are just up. This just is what it is.
Wow.
I think she's also moving the hot water heater,
Right.
things like that. Luckily, there's solar panels on it, so there's no need to separate.
And how big is this unit?
It'll be about 730 square feet.
Oh my God, that is so small.
For a 2-bed, 1-bath?
Dude, that's a lot. What, 2-bed? I thought it had to be at least 850 square feet.
They're figuring out a way around it.
Wow. Because I've been reading up on LA and Burbank as far as what's required for certain sizes.
Yeah, the 850 might be for new construction. And this one technically would be an addition off the garage.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So it was existing.
Right. So that's probably the workaround. And of course, this all goes without saying, building codes change every year. What happens next year? I mean, when I built mine, we had just closed, and I was under the impression I can run my sewer line to the back of my house because my garage was in the back.
Right.
So I was like, okay, $3,000, right? Just to run the sewer line, connect it to the main house and move on.
Right.
And then they're like, no, building codes changed. You have to run a line all the way down your driveway and then connect it in the front of the house.
Yeah. I read up on that too. And I believe it said, ADU may connect to the building sewer from the existing building at a point 2 feet outside of the existing building. So it's kind of I guess if it's a brand new build, it's going to be one way. And if it's already there, it can be another way. But I've inspected properties where, and that's how it is. They wire together.
Exactly.
Like in the driveway or something like that. The house is here, the ADU's back here, and they just kind of come together like this.
Right.
Which is cool. So that's one of the topics that I want to cover a little more in depth later too.
For sure. And there's ways to save money on that as well, which we can go over.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So when we did ours, they're like, well, we're going to have to bust up the driveway, but we just have to cut a section.
Yeah.
But then we're going to have to re-pour concrete. That's like $1,200.
And then you have a line in your driveway.
Right. So I was like, what if you cut just in the middle and we compact it, make sure everything's safe, and then just put rocks over it? So it actually looks decorative.
Yeah.
And that might have cost me what, like $100? Right? For the rocks?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we can do that. So now people come to my property and they actually think it's all decorative because there's just the gravel in the middle. So it's like, okay, you just drive on both sides.
Work with what you got, man.
That's exactly what you do when you're on a budget.
Yeah. That would be a budget install right there.
That's right.
Yeah, that's cool. So as far as a home inspector goes, when we show up to a property and we don't know there's an ADU, and the reason why we charge more, especially if I'm doing your sewer line too, I need to run my line from the ADU out past the house too. So that's 2 separate entries I got to do. So that's why things cost more money.
Yeah, it's reasonable.
It's just more work. I think it's totally reasonable. And just inspecting the ADU, if it's a legit ADU and it actually has all the components it needs, like a heat source, which is a heating and cooling system. Typically, if they put a heater in, they have a cooling side too. It's
right.
Nowadays, it's a mini split heat pump system, which is great. They work good. I'm not a big fan of what that looks like on the wall. It looks like something that belongs in a meat locker or something.
Oh, there you go.
That's what that looks like.
Point. That is a good point.
Yeah, that's what that looks like, and that's what that reminds me of. Remember, I don't know, back in the day, you walk into some stores and they have the big fan that blows air to keep the flies out.
Oh, yeah.
That's what that looks like. So that keeps haunting me when I see one. I'm like, that looks just like it belongs somewhere else.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't belong here, but that's just my opinion. But anyway, but yeah, so if it has an HVAC system, which it probably does, it's going to have its own sub panel in most cases, and its own water heater.
Yeah.
So those are more things that have to be looked at. We're checking the house water heater. Now we got to check the extra house water heater, and we got to check the extra house panel. It takes time. I mean, it could be another 45 minutes on that ADU if it's not too bad,
right?
If it's done correctly. But, I want to go back a little bit because you brought up the ADU wasn't permitted. So a lot of people get really freaked out over that when something's not permitted. So I like to be clear on that. And what I mean by that is when there's not a permit done on something that was installed on your house, it means there's no oversight.
Right.
It doesn't mean it's wrong necessarily. So if the people you hire are not the cheapest guy on the list, chances are whatever they installed, they probably installed correctly. A lot of contractors tend to do this. Well, let's just put it in and get it working. So they only do the minimal amount of work to get it working. Now, just because an HVAC system is actually turning on does not mean it's working properly.
Right.
Another misconception right there. So those are things I like to just drill into people and say, look, don't freak out over this. The most expensive parts are here. You just need someone to come in and fine tune it. Basically, it's the best way to describe it. Like Ray's house, he had the new unit. I believe he had 2 new.
The furnace and the AC were newer.
Yeah, but the ducting was just a mess, and the return plenum and all that stuff. So that's just cleanup work, basically. Yeah.
It was. I think we got a bid for about $2,500. It's like you'll live.
Yeah, you'll live, exactly. So that's my point about my point today was just to get the message out to realtors. Really check and see if that's the case. If you can't make it to the property before the inspections come, you got to do some research and just because you look bad. You look really bad. Yeah. I'm sorry to say this, but you are going to look really bad if I have to say, oh, by the way, there's an ADU out back. Oh, there is? How do you not know that? You're the representative.
I agree. And some of this stuff's super basic. There's actually a house on the market right now where the agents are advertising that there's an ADU on the property. And I was like, okay, this could be interesting. So I checked it out before I showed it to clients. I immediately knew it wasn't permitted. Right. Like they didn't have even like some of the basic stuff, like it didn't have its own address, its own mailbox.
Right.
And I was like, So I quickly, through the LADBS, Los Angeles Department of Building Safety, on their app, typed in the address. I'm like, yeah, there's no permit for this. They're advertising it that there's an ADU. But I'm like, yeah, there isn't here. No. So now I'm trying to find a client where I'm like, we can renegotiate the price really well on this.
Yeah.
Because a lot of you're right, they don't know. And I've actually been able to help get offers accepted because of it, because the realtors don't know. So I go and say, look, I understand you don't know this process, but I do. I can help you get through this.
So let me tell you how it's going to go.
Exactly. That's exactly what happens. And there was, okay, yeah, we'll go with you. And I'm like, sweet.
Yeah. So, look, experience is great, man.
It does.
If you have the knowledge, you got to let people know you have the knowledge.
I agree.
Let's talk a little bit more about knowledge. Yesterday, I had a very bad day.
I'm sorry.
I had a very bad day. I was feeling very sad. I went to a house yesterday for a very good client of mine who hires me all the time. He's actually someone similar to you, realtor, broker. I mean, he does all kinds of stuff. And everything's going great. The homeowner's there. He's really cool with talking about hot rods and stuff and whatever. You know, everything's going great. And then his realtor shows up. Walks up to me. I'm in the bathroom, looking at one of the bathrooms. Walks up to me and pulls out his card. Here's my email address. You make sure, like said it like that, like he was my dad. You make sure you take out the trash. It was almost like that from my dad. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh.
He's like, you make sure you email me that report. I'm like, no, sir, I'm not emailing you that report. He went into like shock and just started yelling at me.
Oh, wow.
He's like, yes, you have to do that by law. You have to do that. I'm like, no, I don't know what law you're talking about. But in the real world, I'm not sending you that report. And I was trying to be nice and funny about it. Right. I wasn't trying to be combative. And he just got madder and madder. I said, sir, enough. I need to get back to work here. You are not my client. And then he said, before he left the bathroom, he said, that report is for my client. I'm like, no, it is not for your client. It is for my client, who is the buyer.
Oh, is this okay?
Yeah, man. He was like, wow. He was on some kind of...
Why do you want the report?
Anyway, he thought I was obligated to give him the report. But so let me clear that up with everybody listening. Hell no. The home inspector is hired by the client who is about to buy the house. The contract for that inspection is between the inspection company and the client who is buying the house. We are not obligated to give that to anybody. Once we give it to the client who paid for it, they can then send it to the world if they like. We are not obligated, so don't ever tell me I have to send you a report again. That one is not going to happen. That's no way to get a report out of me, number one.
Right? Not a good impression.
Not a good first impression. So I'm like, okay, this is probably going to escalate. Mm-hmm. So my buyer had taken off to go to his office, which wasn't far. I texted, hey, you need to come back here. Help. He comes back. He goes, what's going on? I says, go talk to this guy. And he walks up. He goes, oh, I need to get that report. He goes, no, sir. I get the report. I'm the client. He said it exactly how he was supposed to. I was so proud of him. He said it exactly how I related already.
Yeah.
And then he goes, oh, wow, I really thought. I'm like, well, okay, you believed him, but you didn't believe me.
Well, what do you know? You only do this every day.
What would I know, right? And he goes, John, I'm sorry, you're right. I said, I know I'm right. I had to rub it in his nose a little bit. And then from that point on, he was calm as a cucumber. It was very nice to me. And I guess I commanded his respect after that. So it was like really unnecessary for him to react that way, but it was kind of a moment.
Yeah. Well, there's 2 points to that. So the purchase contract states that any reports that a buyer receives does need to go to the seller. Mm-hmm. So that may be where he was coming from. But again, buyer to seller. And then the second point is like, as a listing agent, like I just sold a property we're closing today. We actually just closed a couple hours ago. It's like, I actually put in the counter offers. I don't want the report because I don't want the knowledge.
Are you sure there's not a gray area there where the report doesn't exactly have to go to the sellers? Because what if someone hires me to do the inspection? I give them a report and they say, you know what? We don't want to go any further. Why do they have to give that to them?
They don't have to.
Right.
It's really on the buyer's side.
That's what I mean. So it's not required for them, only if they want to do a request for repairs. Then they'll use that. Then now the seller has it. And now they know what's going on. And now they have to disclose it.
Exactly.
So there's a catch there.
It is. That's why we don't always want them. Sometimes we don't mind.
Yeah.
In this particular case, because it was actually my personal property. It was condo I owned. I didn't want that knowledge.
Yeah.
Not that I was concerned. I had remodeled it. It was a new AC, all of that. But it's just, I just don't need it in the event that it falls out of escrow. Then I go to another buyer, whatever it is.
Right.
I just want to start clean.
Right. So that's a little education for you guys listening right now, because boys and girls, listen up, because what we just talked about is all a play of words.
Yep.
But it's legit. It's totally legit. What I just said about me and my relationship to my customer, between our contract and then who they give it to, that's up to them. It's their property. Yeah. Now, a lot of times, you've probably heard this before, but I'll have people call me, oh, yeah, I can't seem to open my report. Can you resend it? I'm like, yeah, what's your name? Oh, my name's Susan Wilson. Oh, okay, Susan. Which address is this? Oh, hang on. Let me look it up. Oh, it's funny. Your name's not on the client name, under the client name. So who are you? Oh, well, okay, I got to go. Bye. They try to use someone else's report. They try to call me because now the people that hired me walked away from the deal.
Got it. So they're trying to save money.
They want me to send my report that I did, a month or 2 months ago. I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. Oh, can't we just pay you? No, I already got paid. I wouldn't feel good if someone did that to me. So I would not do that to somebody.
Is there also, could you make the argument that a property can change over time?
Absolutely. That would be my next line of defense. Well, if I needed a defense, I don't need a defense, but I just tell them, sorry, I can't do that. Oh, well, I don't understand why you can't. And then someone yell at me. It's so funny. And I'm just like, bye.
Yeah. I've had the same inspector go through the same property more than once and catch something the second time.
Yeah.
It's happened.
We're just humans, man.
Exactly.
We're not robots. We make mistakes. We can get distracted like that. Hey, John, can you come look at this real quick? And just as I'm about to walk up to something, and then I forget what I was doing earlier.
Sure.
It happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's called human error.
Right.
You walk into a house, and then you notice there's 2 kitchens. And you notice that there's a door that can separate that unit from the main unit. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking most likely that something was done without permits. Actually, is actually the first thing that pops in my mind.
That's good.
It depends on how we set the expectation. Was it a duplex? But if there's a door that leads to a second kitchen, if it is permitted, it's likely to be what's called a junior ADU. Right. Which is different than an ADU. Yeah. So ADU, auxiliary dwelling unit or accessory dwelling unit, but the junior ADU is where it can't be anything more than 500 square feet.
Right.
All you really need is just a kitchenette.
Yep.
Doesn't have a separate address, doesn't have separate utilities, but the caveat is the owner of the property has to live somewhere on the property.
Right.
Which is somewhat of a misconception. People think, I can just add 2 ADUs. Like, no, you got to live there. So that is something that I would think about. Right. I would find it weird if there was a door there. So I'd dig into it. I'd be looking at permit history, things like that, because that's all available online. And
let's talk about what the pluses are and the minuses of that, the pros and cons.
Okay.
So let's say you walk in and you see a kitchenette, and then, okay, wow, this could be like someone's personal living area. Mm-hmm. It's got enough room for a couch. You can put a bed over here. You got a closet. You got a sink. Obviously you got a little gas hookup and all that stuff. And then you notice there's ceiling registers in the walls and the ceilings. Well, ceiling or wall. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they're in one or the other. But then you don't see a thermostat in there. So what that means is that unit is being cooled and heated off the main house.
Right.
So that's most likely not permitted because it doesn't have its own heat source. So the heat source is required, for anybody who doesn't know that already, a heat source is required in a dwelling.
Right.
If someone's going to live in a building, it's required to have a heat source. It's not required to have air conditioning. That's a luxury.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So just so you know,
It doesn't get hot here.
no, it doesn't get hot here, but it's not required to have an air conditioner. So, but a heat source is required. And so those are little things I'm looking for when I walk into. I'm looking at stuff probably the same way you are, maybe a little different.
Sure.
But I'm looking for functionality. Hey, if this is its own unit, well then, first thing I'm looking for is how's it getting heated and cooled, and then I'm looking for an electrical sub panel. Is there a sub panel in there? But if it's part of the main structure, it may not have one.
Right.
It may not have one because it doesn't need one.
Especially if it was permitted as a single family residence.
Right. So if someone's just making use out of an extra room and making a little income, I see nothing wrong with that. And I do not go running to my customer going, oh my God, they did this. And that is not where I'm going. My job is not to tell you if this thing's permitted or not. If that's been disclosed to you, then run with it. Then call the Department of Building Safety, have them check it out if you want to permit it. But keep in mind, if you call them, now they're looking at other stuff.
Exactly.
That's
and
something.
Every inspector's different.
Yeah. That's still they're just people. So some are going to be more strict than others.
So I'll give you a great story about that.
All right.
With my house, where we did an addition, remodel, converted the garage to an ADU.
Yeah.
So there's inspectors for different areas. Right. So the inspector for our area happened to have fallen off a roof, not my property.
Oh wow.
A different one, broke his back.
Oh shit.
So we had different inspectors every time.
Oh shit.
And I remember towards the end of everything, we had 3 steps that went down to the backyard. So I know anything 3 steps or more requires a handrail. And I was like, so I went to my contractor. Has anyone called this out? No one's called it out yet. I'm like, okay, final inspection, different inspector. Why are there no handrails? I'm like, son of a bitch. I wanted to put them anyways. They were going to happen anyways. It was just timing.
Right. Safety.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's every inspector is going to come in and may want something different.
Yeah, that's true. So another scenario that people, if you're a home buyer, this is good information.
For sure.
So when you're walking onto a property you're thinking about buying, or maybe you're thinking about putting in an ADU, or maybe you're told there is one, what are you looking for? How to tell if it's permitted or not? How to tell if it's been slapped together? Well, if there's a sub panel in that separate, and I'm talking about a separate ADU now, not part of the main house, standalone ADU. If it's might be a garage conversion or just a building by itself. If there's a sub panel in there, it needs to be installed a certain way. Naturally, it needs to be inside. It can't be inside a closet. It can't be inside a bathroom. So if you see that right away, you know that Uncle Joe put that together.
Right.
So there's requirements there. Also, any separate building that has a sub panel is required to have a ground rod. Actually, two ground rods. And then again, some electricians are going to evaluate that their own way and decide whether it needs 1 or 2. So it could be either or. And if that sub panel has more than 6 breakers in it, it needs to have its own main shutoff, a disconnect. So those are things that I can spot in 2 seconds of being in that unit and go, yeah, it probably hasn't been permitted. No need to scream about it.
Right.
You're just making a comment. So inspectors out there who are looking at the stuff and going, oh my God, stop doing that. You don't need to scare people.
Most things can be fixed.
Yeah, man, look, I have lived by this rule. Man built it, man screwed it up, and nowadays man or woman will fix it.
That's right.
That's what's going on. So it's that simple. So don't freak out. You don't need to alarm people. Are you an alarmist inspector? I've heard that people ask me that. I'm like, are you an alarmist customer?
Right.
Because most of my alarming that goes on is from my customers.
Well, that's usually the conversations.
And they're realtors sometimes too.
Yeah. And that's the conversations I usually have ahead. I'm like, hey, look, they're first time home buyers. When me, you, and Ray were speaking, I purposely asked, how does this home compare to others?
Right.
Is this common? Because these people don't know. It's the first property they've ever purchased.
Right.
There's no gauge of expectations.
Right. That goes along my training of, I would like to share with people is, if you're a realtor, you really should try to get some knowledge about the difference between a house built in 1910 and a house built in 1940, house built in 1970, 1990, and so forth. Get yourself familiar with how those buildings are typically constructed. So you can then pre-warn your potential buyer what might be found. And that just takes all the edge off everybody when they show up. Oh, remember I told you it was going to be knob and tube wiring? Yeah, he did find some. Oh, okay. How do we deal with that? That's not like oh my God, let's run. It's okay. How do we deal with it? It goes from how do we run? I mean, do we run now, or how do we deal with it? You know, it's not so like stressful anymore. Because I always tell people, if you're buying a home, don't panic. Just relax. There's things that are going to happen. Don't forget you're buying a used house that's probably 50 years old or older. I do a lot of early 1900 home inspections. I know a lot about early 1900 homes.
So that'd be like parts of Burbank, Pasadena.
Yeah. Burbank, Pasadena, LA. Definitely Pasadena. And if you're looking at a house built before 1910, chances are you're going to find a brick foundation.
Yeah. I had a client who bought one of those.
That's really not something you want to buy. Because you can't reinforce it unless you spend the money and have a new foundation put in. Yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah, I think it was going to cost my client at the time around $50,000.
Yeah,
to do it.
That's a bit of money right there.
Yeah.
But hey, I've seen some brick foundations, and the floors almost seem like they were perfectly level.
Interesting.
Mint condition. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Lucky.
Yeah.
But the wood framing of the construction underneath was just the original posts. Everything was original, sitting on bricks. I'm like, wow. It just didn't have any movement at all. There was no evidence of movement. It's crazy. Yeah, so you never know what you're going to get. So I think walking in the door, when I go to a party, I want to know how to dress.
Right.
Well, what's the dress code for the party? Is it casual? Are we doing suits?
Right.
It's the same thing when you're going to buy a house. You need to know what you're walking into.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at it. So
I agree. And you always have to set the expectation that no house is perfect.
That's for sure.
Right. Like when we bought our first house, she was my fiance at the time. She's like, there's all these issues. Should we cancel? I'm like, the roof's fine. The foundation's fine. Those are like some of the most expensive parts.
Sure.
Everything else about it's manageable. And who's to say the next property isn't going to have its own set of issues?
Right.
But regardless of what everyone thinks about what's going on in the market, we still have low inventory. So we still only have so many homes to choose from. Right. So you just work with what you have. Yeah.
Another point on walking into a property that might have an ADU, if it's a converted garage, a lot of times the ceilings are missing the access hatch for the attic area. And that to me is a concern because you don't know the condition of that framing, because back then, typically these garages are from like 1950s and stuff.
Right.
And they probably just have 2x4 ceiling rafters going across, which weren't designed to hold drywall.
True. But then you do get an engineering report that has to be done.
No, I'm saying if it's not permanent.
Oh, correct. Yes.
Yeah. I'm just saying what to look for.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
So when you go into one and see, there's no attic access, well, there's no way to look at the framing, and that's something you want to look at.
Oh yeah.
If there was multiple roof layers up there, there's too much stress on the building. So I would want to make sure that those ceiling joists are correct, because you don't want that drywall loosening and starting to bow out and then eventually falling off if it's not supported correctly.
The addition on the property we bought, it was not done to code. It didn't have the right beams. We had to tear the whole thing down.
Yep. So
had to do. So there you go. It's real life. That's a real thing.
Yeah, no, that's real. That's very real. So whenever I see an attic area with no access to it, I'd make a note of that. Hey, look, you need to cut a hole in there. Why? Because there isn't one. Because I can't tell you what's going on above that drywall. And I can't tell you what's going on between the shingles and that drywall. So I can't tell you, and no one else can either, by the way.
Right.
Because there's no way in. So just have a proper size hole put in, put a nice cover on it, and just have someone take a look. Like, that's all. It's just real simple to fix.
Right.
Water heaters. Typically a tankless is going to be there. Sometimes you won't see any water heater. It'll just be running to be a line underground going from the house.
Oh my gosh.
Into the building, into the ADU. that wasn't permitted because they just slapped it together.
Yeah. And they're not expensive.
Right.
I mean, we ended up doing a tanked hot water heater. And it's like $400 plus install.
Sure.
Yeah. And what we ended up doing was we have 2 separate electric meters, but we made the whole thing electric. There's no gas.
Oh, there you go.
So that way we didn't have to worry about splitting the gas meter or running gas, anything like that. So water's shared.
Right.
But you're right. Yeah. They typically have their own systems. It's a mini house.
Yeah. Yep. And I've seen, well, I can't say they're actually ADUs. I'd say they're just a separate building. So outside of ADUs for a moment, if there's a separate building in the back and if it's got a raised foundation, that's another area that has to be looked at on the crawl space areas. That's where the problems are, people. The problems are under the house and in the attic, most likely. That's where the hidden problems are, I should say. So anyway, multiple kitchens, we talked about that. Attics or crawl spaces. I know what I want to cover with you, and that is, what was it like living in one?
Interesting. So ours was about 360 square feet.
Yep.
It was just me and my wife, which was fine until quarantine hit.
Yeah.
We're both working out of there. She's taking calls in the bathroom. I'm taking calls in the backyard because it's a studio.
Oh, boy.
But we've gotten very good on how to design ADUs. So, for example, there's no windows facing the backyard.
Right.
So we had total separation, our own front yard, our own backyard.
You had privacy.
Exactly. We had a lot of privacy. So that was fine. You know, honestly, the biggest issue was just bringing our trash cans out to the street because their tenants in the front would always have their cars parked there. That was
so
like,
you owned the front building.
Yep.
And you had tenants there.
Yep.
And you were living in the back part.
Correct.
Okay. Why'd you do it that way?
Because we were broke. So like it was because I love my wife to death. She's such a trooper. We bought the house. We did what's called an FHA 203K loan, which is owner occupied loan where they'll pay for the house and the construction costs. Which I was a guinea pig for. In my circle, no one's ever done it. My circle had never done a full on garage conversion, like starting from scratch.
Right.
All while we were planning for a wedding.
Oh, man.
So again, bless her heart, because we're still together.
Did you go through with the marriage?
We did.
You did. You're married now. Okay.
That's right. That's right. We did all right.
What was that, 10 grand?
Yeah, something like that. So what we ended up doing was, because of all the issues we had with the city, because again, they were short inspectors, things like that. It took a little bit longer than expected and it cost a little bit more than expected.
Right.
So we said, fine. We moved into the back unit, did a refinance because we were able to say it's still owner occupied. So that dropped our bills by $300 a month.
Okay.
So I told her, like, yeah, we're moving there and we're going to make it work.
Wow.
And it was actually great because it allows me to better understand what it is like living in one. So when I meet with clients or if I'm seeing potential in one, I can be like, okay, this is what they actually want because this is what I wanted.
Right.
You know?
So, one thing that's been on my mind a lot, and that is renting to people in California.
Happy to talk about it.
Renting to people in California. The laws in California, from my understanding, is it's all for the renter.
Yes.
It's really not for the homeowner or the landlord. That's not a good thing for someone who's considering, and I know people still do it. People rent out every day, and not everybody's a bad egg and gonna, squat in your property or something like that. That's why I always keep a book of matches laying around.
Well, of course.
I'll just burn it down.
Right. It's an easier path.
But anyway, so any advice to people as far as vetting somebody to live in an ADU?
Yes, so there's a couple things. So first and foremost, let's go over rent control.
Okay.
Which there's one for the state and one for the city. City of Los Angeles has rent control. Burbank doesn't. Which is why if you ever look online for multifamily in Burbank, there's like never any on the market because they fly off the shelves.
Right.
Because people like the Southern California appreciation.
Yeah.
With how it works with ADUs is there's two things to keep in mind. It all depends on the age of the main house. So if the main house was built prior to 1978 and you build an ADU, the ADU itself, if it's detached, is not subject to Los Angeles rent control, but the main house will be. If it's attached, so let's say, for example, it was an attached garage that you converted, now both are subject to Los Angeles rent control. So with ADUs, you actually have a little bit more freedom than you would with the main house.
So if you're renting the main house, it's going to fall under rent control if it's built prior to 1978?
Correct.
Really?
Yeah. It takes a little bit of time from when you get the certificate of occupancy, which is basically like, here's your birth certificate that a structure was created.
Right.
So it takes time, but yes, eventually it will be. So we get the rent control bills for our main house, but we just file an exemption because we're living there.
So explain the rent control and what it exactly is.
Okay. So there's a couple major components. One is how much you can raise rents. So right now there's a rent freeze because of everything that happened COVID, but we'll just say under normal times. It's based on what's called the Consumer Price Index. Typically it's between 3 to 4% rent increases each year. So that's the first thing.
That's allowed.
That's allowed, correct. Okay. Which is why it's important to get market rents from the get-go. And oftentimes you'll see a lot of multifamily on the market with really low rents. It's because the landlords never raised rent over time.
Right.
Which makes sense if they're paying.
My dad was one of them.
I get it. I totally 100% get it. Especially after owning, I've had 2 rentals now. So it's like, yeah, I get it. The second thing is there are some fees with the city. It's not much, $36 for one of the fees. And then I think it's another $30-some for another fee. Some of it you can pass on to the tenants. Right. So there's some fees there because eventually the city will come out and do an inspection.
Right.
Which goes back to if you don't have things permitted, that could be a problem because the city will flag it. I've seen it before.
Right.
But the biggest thing, the most important thing is it's a bilateral contract, right, between the tenant and the landlord when they sign the lease agreement. It then switches effectively to a unilateral contract. So if you go to the tenant and say, you know what, I want to end the lease. Your lease is up. I want you to move out. Tenant doesn't have to. They actually have the right to stay. There are certain circumstances where they can move, which is like, I'm going to move in, or you're doing so much work to the property that was approved by the city. But in those instances, you have to pay what are called relocation fees. And that ranges, it can be as high as, we'll call it around $22,000, depending on the circumstances. Wow. But those are some of the big things. So then that's why vetting is so important, which I'm really glad you brought that up because I also manage a Facebook group with over 600 landlords in Southern California. Oh, wow. And this is like a common thing that we talk about. So
don't forget to send me a link to that. I need to send them my videos.
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of things. So first and foremost, you do want to make sure that the income's there. And it's not one of those, I get paid in cash, so I can't show it on my bank statements. It's like,
run.
Exactly. And the reason, and I kind of get it, you get paid in cash, so why put it in the bank? You might as well just start paying bills, start grocery shopping and stuff, but it's like, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If I can't see a record of it, we have a problem.
Yes.
Nowadays, we're starting to ask for 3 months bank statements, 3 months pay stubs. We want to see that they've had consistent work. And then, some people focus on the credit score. I tend to focus on the credit history.
Right.
Because you could have 2 applicants, one with a 700 credit score, but have 3 bankruptcies. But you could have someone with 650, but that's because they're 19 years old.
Right.
They haven't built up their credit.
Yeah. One number doesn't answer all the questions. I agree.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree there.
So we do a lot of due diligence there. And then, of course, I always call the last 2 landlords.
Right.
Not, you call the current one because you just want to know what's up, but they might lie to you either to get them out or to keep them. So therefore, you call the one at before them where they have no skin in the game.
Right.
And if you can't get a hold of any of this stuff and you can't find anything that makes you feel comfortable, you've got to walk away.
Yes.
Yeah. Because that's the biggest issues I've seen with landlords and tenants. It's when they always make the exception.
Right. I want to jump backwards a little bit.
Go for it.
You said earlier with the rent control. So the rent control means that if it's 3% a year, that's the max you can do. So that's what you're saying. So in other words, you can't just jack it up $500 more.
Correct.
Rent control means it can only go up so much of a percentage per year.
Correct.
And who sets that rate?
The city usually comes out with kind of like the inflation numbers.
Right.
I believe it's from the city. And so it's all the different categories. And then there's housing. Now, keep in mind, this is only for rent-controlled units.
Right.
Not all properties are subject to rent control.
Right.
You can actually go, I don't know if you've ever covered it, but it's called ZIMAS, ZIMAS. Great website. ZIMAS. You can just Google it. Mm-hmm. It's zimas.lacity.org. But you can type in any property in the city of Los Angeles, and they're going to give you a ton of great information. So they'll show you all the permits that have been pulled from 1996 to now, but it'll even tell you if your property is subject to rent control.
Right.
It'll even tell you the sizes of different structures, like what the assessor shows.
Right. Okay. Interesting. What now? I know that, myself being a consumer, other consumers, other renters, they have rights.
They do.
Privacy rights.
They do.
So what are you allowed, or what am I allowed to ask for from a potential renter? How far can we take that information? What can we ask for? What are we not supposed to ask for?
So in terms of what you can ask for, it's generally anything financial, right? Because that's really, at the end of the day, that's what this is all about.
Yeah.
Do
you have a job?
Right. Yeah, that's a big one.
Employer? Yeah, that's kind of a big one.
Or if it's retirement, money coming in. You have a right to do a credit check and a background check. Right. Now, I can't charge extra fees for it. So if it costs $35 to do the background check, that's all I can charge.
Okay.
Which is why I always
So we can't profit off it?
No. But I'm sure at one point they did.
I'm sure somebody did.
Right? That's why usually the sites I use, I send them the link. They pay them directly. I don't collect a dime.
Oh, so you use a third party?
Mm-hmm. I use a third party to do the credit checks and background checks.
Okay, good.
I review all the documentation.
Right.
You're allowed to ask for bank statements. You're allowed to ask for anything to clarify for the bank statements.
Right.
So, for example, I was reviewing one application where she was renting a room. So I couldn't really talk to the landlord because she was kind of renting a room. So I just said, look, send me your last 12 months bank statements and just, search for when you made those deposits.
Right.
For rent.
Right.
So that's what they did. And I saw all 12 months she paid. I'm like, okay.
Sweet.
Yeah. Can you ask for some medical records? Yeah, you can. If, let's say, for example, and I see this happen all the time, my credit shot because I had medical debt. So it's like, okay, prove it. Because I've actually heard of tenants saying that and that not be true.
Right. Shocking.
Right? Shocking.
You humans.
Right?
We don't lie.
No, never. So yeah, it's basically any documentation that can help you make a good financial decision.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, some people say, oh, I need a reference for a friend or something. Like, why? What's a friend going to say? This person sucks.
I know. I always wondered why that was on there.
I was like, who cares?
I call my friends. Oh, by the way, you're going to get a phone call soon.
Right?
We're still good, right?
Right? And then your friend's like, for the right price, I will be. So it's a lot of that documentation. Trying to think if there's anything else to keep in mind. I've actually seen it where in some counties, if you have a speeding ticket, it shows up on your record. But I did it once when I was vetting a tenant. And it just said criminal record. I'm like, what the hell is this? I actually had to go searching for it. And then I realized it was a speeding ticket.
Oh.
I'm like, but the average landlord probably wouldn't have made the time. So if you have anything on your record or, really being upfront is actually one of the best things you can do.
Of course.
Yeah. Trying to hide stuff just doesn't fly.
No, it doesn't fly at all. And the process of, you kind of covered that a little bit, but I want to make sure we covered everything. The process of getting an ADU, a permitted ADU. So that's going to be, you got to get plans. Like you mentioned, you need plans of the existing property, the property itself, or just the structures?
I mean, you'll show the plot, right?
Show the plot.
You show the plot and then you show both structures.
Both structures, okay. Now, if there's no structure there and you're going to be building one from scratch, you just send them what you want to build.
You would still send basically, here's the house, here's the existing house. And then, yes, one with the new property where it shows that's within the setbacks, 4 feet. You're showing that you have 2 off-street parking spots for the whole property, as long as you're within a half-mile radius. of public transportation, which most of Los Angeles is,
Right.
right? Most of Burbank is, unless you're up in the hills.
Right.
In which case, then you just need to show additional parking.
And then it's up to the city to approve it or disapprove it.
Correct.
Now, they may say, we'll approve it if you change this.
That's usually what it is. They're usually going to do corrections. They did change a law, I think a couple of years ago, to kind of speed this up for the state, where you had to do a turnaround in under 60 days. So figure between getting the plans done to construction might take 2 to 3 months. So usually what I have my clients do is once they've committed to buying the property, but we're still in escrow, that's when I send out the architect. That way all that stuff can get going.
Sure. Kickstart it.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then you do the permits, which it varies depending, but if it's like a garage conversion, probably around $1,500 for the permits.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Mm-hmm. If you want, what I did was actually hired a permit expediter.
Yeah, I've done that before.
Yeah, great. It was like $100 an hour, so her bill was like a couple $100.
Yeah.
But instead of it taking 4 weeks, she got it done in 2 weeks.
Sure.
And time is money.
Yep. And then you don't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Just
that too.
go do what you do, and I'll do what I do.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's good stuff. So another thing we didn't cover on the ADUs as we're sitting here talking is there's height restrictions.
Yes.
So, eventually I'm going to be buying a house.
Great. Happy to help.
And when I do, the first thing I'll be doing is breaking ground for an ADU because I want someone else to pay 2/3 of my mortgage.
Makes sense.
So I'll be doing that pretty quick. So I'm sure the property I find will already have a garage. And so I need a garage because I'm just a guy that needs a garage.
Right.
I have 3 vehicles. I have tools. I have stuff. I like to have room when I get out of my car. Right. I like a big garage. So I know I'm going to just put that garage on steroids and build it out, build it up.
Okay.
But I've also considered, what if I wanted to put a guest house on top of it? Then again, if I made noise, I might disrupt my neighbor. But so it's kind of a tough call there. So it's like, okay, so if I build a garage, it's going to be not your average height. I want to be able to get a 10-foot van in there. So I'd want to raise that up. So I'm going to have problems with that, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm already predicting I'm going to have problems.
Yeah, so you have a couple problems.
Yeah.
So first, you're right. The height restriction is going to be an issue. Typically, it's about 20 feet. Sometimes it can be shorter. But so if you're building a 10-foot high garage.
Right here.
Yeah.
Height limit of 20 feet.
There you go.
On the top plate, 30 feet to the top of the roof of architectural features.
Yep. So, because a normal property is usually 8 foot high ceilings on the interior.
Yeah.
Right. But then to your point, there's an attic, there's all that. The second thing you have to keep in mind, yours is a special case, but for anyone who's thinking about building on top of a garage, the garage itself pretty much has to be rebuilt because it doesn't have the foundation and the support to handle a second story. Basically, the garage skipped leg day at the gym. Yeah. That's really what it comes down to.
You got to beef up the foundation.
Right.
I've done that on a house before.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then if you start going into the new construction realm, then you have to set a whole new set of building codes.
Yep.
When you do new construction. So things like solar panels, things like water tanks.
Yeah, for the rain.
Yeah, rain barrels. Thank you.
Barrels,
yes.
Yep.
The things that water goes into, and then what do you do with it? It's like
squirt your friends with it,
right? It's like okay, for the 3 times it rains this year.
Yeah,
I'm sure it would have made sense. Like, hey, you have to hook it into a sprinkler system, right? But I'm not going to tell the city yet because then they're going to require it.
I heard there's rental companies that actually rent the barrels, and then after you pass all your inspections, they just come pick them up.
I'm not surprised. It's super common.
I just heard that like a couple days ago.
Yeah, but you actually sign in the CC&Rs, conditions, covenants, and restrictions, that you're going to maintain it. So it's like you can get rid of them, but if the city ever asks for those things,
so ugly, dude.
I know
they're so ugly.
So ugly. Sometimes you can get away with a planter somehow. Like I know that's one workaround, but you're right. They're like $400 each, I think, and it's just, and they're bad. They're really bad, but we're trying to be
Jeffrey Dahmer would use. You know what I mean?
Right.
Put bodies in.
Right.
That's what these things look like. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, between that and the solar panels, which, I'm torn on it personally. I like the idea of being greener. But on a practical basis, you're not going to get more rent for it. Buyers aren't paying a premium for it right now.
Right.
So it's like you just spent an extra for a house nowadays, about $30,000 to install solar panels. So it's like I'm spending $30,000, but I'm not really getting that back.
I'm not a fan of solar panels.
Yeah.
I don't think it's worth doing. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I've looked at them. I'm like, had the guys trying to explain to me the difference of how it works. And, over 30 years, most people don't live in a house for 30 years. They move in 7 years.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, great. When I buy my last house, I guess maybe I'll consider using them because that would be the last place I live. But I don't, you got to remember too, when you're putting something on your roof, you are now making more possibilities for leaks. Mm-hmm. If you just have shingles on a roof and nothing else, that roof is not going to leak.
Right.
Unless somebody rips the shingles off. It's that simple. Once you start putting plumbing vents in and chimney stacks and solar panel mounts, you are creating problems that are going to happen slowly down the road. And that's why I don't believe in putting solar panels on a roof.
Yeah. When I did research for our house, we considered it. Our house has a lot of natural light, so we don't have the lights on all the time. So the numbers actually didn't work. It would actually cost about the same as what our bills are paying now.
Yeah.
But one of the big things was, to your point, if you ever have to re-roof, it's cost thousands of dollars just to take the solar panels off. So therefore, your best bet is to consider doing it when you replace the roof.
Absolutely.
So you just do it both at the same time.
That's why the roofing companies are in the solar business and vice versa.
Yeah, and it makes sense. You just do it both at the same time.
Slam dunk.
But
we only put solar panels in, ma'am, if we redo your roof too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and you kind of might as well. I mean, you might as well just do it all in one big swoop anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Zillow came out with a report saying that on average, it did increase the value by 3.6%, which I was like, okay, if it costs you $30,000, that means your house has to be $1 million property for you to kind of make sense. But not all properties are.
It's just a shell game.
Exactly.
Solar panels are a shell game. Don't look over here. I'm going to get you over there. I'm telling you, man, that's when people explain it to me, I'm like, sir, you made no sense. You absolutely made no sense to me. And I'm like, yeah, what you're saying is just a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah.
So that's just the numbers when they're throwing numbers at me. Well, if you do this for so long, I let my utility, you know what kills a house utility bill and makes it so high? Swimming pools. That is a huge draw on your electricity. So if you have a swimming pool, you want to make sure you have a variable speed motor put in. Those really do help.
Interesting.
Because you have to run your pool 6 to 8 hours a day, depending on the weather. And the summer, 6 to 8 hours a day. That pool needs to circulate that water on average. Wintertime, maybe 4 hours. Every day that pump needs to run. Yeah. So if you just have a single speed that's going full blast all the time, not good. The variable speeds only turn on as much as they need to, which uses less energy. Remember, your swimming pool needs to be circulated every day. You're moving water, you're replacing water, moving water. That's the trick. That's the purpose of the circulation pump.
Yeah, and I've seen some solar panels that were designed it's all actually hooked up for the pool.
Right.
I have seen that before.
Waste of mind. Waste of time.
I mean, might as well go to the entire property at that point.
You mean pool solar?
Yeah, exactly.
Pool solar.
I don't know much about them.
Pool solar is something I think should never been invented.
Right.
Okay, so what it is these black ribs, and they're connected to PVC pipes, and they're typically sitting on top of a garage roof or a shed roof, which, I mean, they completely cover the roof. So you have this object sitting on the roof, so the roof can't drain properly, which means the materials of the roof materials are going to fail faster. So you're pretty much condemning your roof as soon as you put them on there. And how much of a temperature rise do you think those will get your pool?
Not enough is my guess.
You're lucky to get 5 to 7 degrees difference.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not worth doing.
No.
You can't adjust them.
Yeah.
It's not like you're adjusting the sun. Okay, Mr. Sun, I need you to heat this up a little more right now. No, it doesn't work that way. It's literally 5 to 7 degrees on average. That's typically what it is.
You know, it's funny. I actually have a lot of clients who bought houses with pools and we don't use it. Like they don't even use the pool. So one of them, he ended up renting out his house. He had a house with an accessory dwelling unit and it had a pool. And he's like, okay, Rick, for the next house, I don't want a pool. So we ended up going to Porter Ranch where it was a gated community with 2 pools. HOA dues are like $190 a month. He's like, I'd be spending that on my own pool. And now I got tennis courts. I have pools. I have a park.
There you go.
I'm done. I'm set.
That's a win-win.
Right? It's like your cake and eat it too. I mean, that's about as close as it's going to get.
Maintaining a pool takes work and your time.
Yeah.
It's a part-time job. I had 2 pools.
Oh, wow.
Last 2 houses I had. And I don't miss them.
Yeah. Well, we actually built out a stock tank pool, which is like, those horse troughs. And we just like plugged in and it was just like, you dip in and you relax. Yeah. And it's like 8 feet wide. I'm like, that's all I need.
You can also turn that into an ice bucket.
Yes. That's a big party.
Yeah. The ice baths, I'm going to start doing those when I do move. When I get my next house, I'm building a nice area in the back and I'm going to have my own little oasis there with my ice.
Nice.
Ice. It's going to be a freezer.
Okay.
I've been researching this, and a lot of people are taking freezers, for meat and stuff. Sure. And they're converting them into ice baths.
So after you work out, do whatever.
No, you just do it. Cold, and warm up, and it's really good for your longevity.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been wanting to do it, but it's hard to do where I'm living now. So
yeah.
So anyway, yeah. Anything else you want to add to the ADU world?
There's a ton of little nuances that we could go through.
Sure.
I mean, even things like a power line can't go over the garage.
Good news. Keep going. Yeah.
Right. So it's like, okay, how do you solve that? Well, it's actually really easy because I did it on my property. You have your 2 meters, the main panel ends up being on the ADU. So then the line just runs straight down and then you just trench it to the main house.
Yeah.
Right. So it's one of those things where like there's nothing to be scared of. Most properties could probably be converted, not all. Mm-hmm. I've seen one where you see the giant like power poles.
Yep.
And then those power lines go directly over. It's like, okay, there's no way you're going to get this permitted.
Right.
But it's kind of like you said, like, don't panic, right? Like most stuff can be fixed. Most stuff can be taken care of, just takes a little bit of homework.
Each house is going to pose its own obstacles.
Yes.
Each property, I should say, is going to pose its own obstacles if you want to add to it or anything like that. So
right.
That's what you got to just be prepared for.
Mm-hmm.
Have a little cash for your permits and, your architect. What's an architect cost nowadays?
For like those types of deals, probably like $3,000. Like it's like $3,000 to $5,000.
That is way too much.
To draw plans?
I could draw it myself.
You can. You actually are allowed to.
Really?
Yeah. As long as you meet the code for everything to get signed off.
I'll be drawing my own.
There you go. Yeah. Hey, here's where the 2 parking spots are. Here's everything.
Parking. That's what we got to cover.
Okay, perfect.
What's required for parking? So how big does the unit need to be? And what decides the parking and whether it's absolutely has to be provided?
Yeah. So it really depends. You have to be within a half-mile radius of public transportation.
Okay.
And then you only need 2.
You mean like an Uber?
You'd think. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that one. It's going to be like in the middle of the Hollywood Hills or like nothing around.
I just hit this app right here and this guy showed up at my house.
Yeah.
I didn't have to walk.
Yeah.
Why do I need to give this guy a driveway?
Because the city doesn't make money off of it. That's why. But they make money off buses.
Damn. All right.
So they can start their own Uber.
Yeah.
So as long as you're within a half-mile radius of public transportation, you only need 2 off-street parking spots.
You mean like a bus or a train?
Correct.
Or maybe Burbank Airport?
I don't know about the airport.
Does that count?
I don't know. Maybe. There's bound to be a bus station there anyways.
Hey, you know what else I just found out?
What's that?
That I wasn't aware of? Is that a raccoon is considered a bear.
Really?
Yeah. So you never know until you ask.
Oh, yeah. I have clients. They bought me this neon sign that says it's free to ask.
Yes, it is.
Because you just never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so off-street parking does not have to be covered. So like if you have a long driveway, you're good. You're set. So it can be tandem, side by side. If you're not near, then I believe you probably just need another 2 parking spots.
2 parking spots for one ADU? A one parking spot.
I think it's probably one parking spot, depending probably on the size.
So if it's up to 800 square feet, probably just one.
Yeah, probably. That one we'd have to double check because most people who build these ADUs, they're generally in the flats.
Yeah.
They don't really do them up in the hills.
Right.
Because price point and at that price point, like people are like, I want a garage.
Yeah.
Right. So
And
why
I don't need the rental income
right?
Because they're standing on their wallets.
That's exactly kind of what it is. And then they can build a guest house.
Yeah.
Right. Which I don't really know the nuances and the difference in building codes there, but you can. This is a choice, and you also don't have to convert the garage completely.
Right.
The one that we're going to be seeing tomorrow, only the back.
That's right. I'm doing an inspection for you tomorrow.
That's right. With an ADU.
With an ADU.
With an ADU.
Did I charge more for that? Yes, I did.
Damn. Well, okay. It's worth it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
That's true. But only the back half was actually converted. So it's only about 200 square feet. And that particular owner was only doing it for themselves. So they ended up taking out the little kitchenette.
Right.
So it's really just a room with a bathroom, but it's like, fine, that could be a home office. It could be whatever. But I still went through the whole spiel with the buyers and just said, look, in this case, they didn't split the meters, which is fine. Because they're not going to rent it out anyways. They're going to use that as like a home office.
You mean the electrical meters?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, they did not split the meters. Because you don't have to split them. It just makes sense to do it, especially if you're the electrician there. It can cause delays because once you get everything signed off by the city, the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power is its own separate entity, and you have to wait for them to come in to install the meters. Right. And it's kind of on their time because they're a monopoly, which is a whole nother conversation.
I could have sworn monopolies were illegal.
I thought so too, but apparently not for utility companies here in Los Angeles. Oh, that's another good point. Your deposit will be higher if you have 2 units, and your water rates will go up because it's now considered multifamily. Yep.
So if you have multiple water meters or electric meters?
This is if you have one water meter.
Okay.
And because you now have multiple dwellings, they consider it the same as like duplex, triplex, fourplex, and therefore your water rates go up.
Oh, that's not cool.
No, it is total BS.
I don't like paying for water anywhere.
No. And I called them out on it. I was like, the whole point of Los Angeles, we have an affordability crisis.
Right.
And now you're making it not affordable.
I better check with the city of Burbank, see if they're doing that here.
Yeah, they might. And like I said, our deposit was $2,200 when we switched the water back into our name.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now they give you interest on that, right?
No.
I thought they were required to give you interest on that.
I hope so.
You should check that.
Yeah, I'll check, but not that I'm aware of. I do get the deposit back as long as I make consistent payments for 2 years. I'm like, but I want it now. I'll double check if there's interest. That's a good point. I've never thought to look because usually the deposit is like $100.
Basically, they should be holding that in like an escrow.
Yeah.
And it should gain interest. I mean, going back into the landlord realm, if you're my renter and I take your rent, aren't I supposed to have that in a specific account? And then it accrues interest on whatever that account is.
Funny you bring that up. So if let's say you put it in a savings account, you can't really collect on that interest because it's their money.
No. So I'm saying, no, that interest goes to them when they move.
For rent-controlled units, it can, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. On the East Coast, I sold a property there, and my realtor said to me, John, you do have a separate checking account for these units, right? I'm like, well, I have a personal account, and they're both in the same account. Mm-hmm. And they said, well, you probably shouldn't be doing that. They said, because you now have to go back to when that person gave you that deposit and then calculate all the interest earned on that amount of money.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's fine. So, I mean, it was easy to do.
Yeah,
and
sure.
And I just paid them when they left. I just paid them that much.
Yeah.
It was easy to do, but so just those little things.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, this is why property managers are in business.
Yeah.
Right. Because they're the ones keeping up with all the laws. Because it can be challenging, especially when COVID hit, and people. That's why I started the Landlords group because there was so much misinformation going out there. And I'm not saying I'm the expert, but we have.
You might be the expert.
I'm getting there.
That's okay.
It is. It's not a bad thing.
Just grasp it.
I just don't want to be the attorney because even attorneys who used to practice this no longer they used to practice multiple forms of law, right?
Yeah.
Now they're like, no, we don't touch tenant landlord laws anymore. It's too complicated. You need a specialist.
Yeah. I try to stay away from those type of inspections too.
Yeah.
When there's a dispute, I don't want to get subpoenaed and dragged into court. Because I'm charging.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
$400 an hour. You want me? That's travel time too.
Oh, for sure.
It's like, I'm not going to do that for free. That's a long day.
Mm-hmm. That's time away from other clients and other things. People always like, time is money.
Yep.
Right. It doesn't matter how you look at it.
Right.
That's why one of the rules of thumb for building wealth is figure out how much your dollar per hour is. Anything less than that, hire it out.
Yep.
So hire out a housekeeper. Well, I noticed a big jump in my income when I hired a housekeeper.
Yep.
I was actually really surprised.
I learned that from my financial advisor years ago. I actually became friends with. We used to ride motorcycles together. And he taught me that a long time ago.
Yeah.
A long time ago. He said, John, how much you make an hour? I said, well, I make about this much. Okay. Pay someone to do that for you then. And he explained it to me. I'm like, Yeah, it was a long time ago. I was probably about 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
When he told me this. And I listened to him. And he also taught me about fuck you money.
Oh, yeah.
Got to have fuck you money.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And no one knows what that is. That means you can tell your boss, fuck you. You have enough money saved and you can just go get another job. So don't ever quit a job. I told my niece this years ago. I said, what are you doing for work? Oh, I quit my job. Oh, what are you doing now? Oh, I don't have a job. So you quit a job without having another one in place? I wrote her for that one. I was like, don't ever do that again. You only leave a job when there's a better one.
I made that mistake actually in college.
Now you're making no money. Now your money just went. Pfft.
Right.
Cash flow is the key.
For sure.
You need something that's going to constantly bring in money. And don't ever quit a job unless you have a better one lined up or equal. Because then you have a big gap and you're going to wind up being behind on your bills because now you're playing catch up.
Yeah, especially if you had a specific lifestyle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's called the luxury creep.
Yeah.
That's becoming more and more popular where people are making more and more money. So they're spending more and more.
Yep.
Which is not what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
I mean, I love my ADU.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because right now the amount my tenants are paying is equivalent to the interest on my mortgage, which means I effectively have a zero interest mortgage.
That's awesome.
And then when I lived in the ADU and rent out the main house, every time we refinance twice. So typically how it works, whenever you get a loan, your first payment isn't usually till 30 days out.
Right.
So I just got a free check from my tenants and didn't have to pay a mortgage.
Nice.
The second time we did it, we timed it unintentionally to where my first payment wasn't for 2 months. I collected like $6,000. It just went right into my pocket.
Nice. Shh. IRS is listening.
Yeah, right? No, I report all income. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's a common misconception. It's called house hacking when you buy properties and rent out other rooms, things like that. Yeah, you report everything.
Yeah.
I do.
It pays off later when you want to move up to something bigger.
Exactly.
You got to have a money trail.
Yeah, I agree.
Money trail.
And also it's more like, hey, if everyone should pay their fair share, that means we should report everything for everyone to pay their fair share.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I know. Whole nother conversation.
That is a whole nother conversation.
You can edit that one out. But
yeah. I have to call some people over here I know.
There you go.
So when's the last time you paid taxes?
Oh. I've met people like that too.
Yeah.
Where they haven't paid in like years. And I'm like, it's not a matter of if, but when.
Yeah.
And the more money
they're like, I'm trying to buy a car, but I'm having a hard time getting a car loan. Why? Oh, I have no tax returns. Oh, whose fault is that?
Yeah. You want to buy a house? You need to show income.
Yeah.
Unless you want to pay really, really high rates.
I think there's two roads in life. There's the paper road, and there's the cash road. If you want to just be a cash person your whole life, you're going to have to buy everything cash. Yeah. And that's going to take a lot of cash. So,
it really does.
So keep that drug dealing business going.
Right? Money laundering, go for it.
Yeah. What have you got to do? So I don't know. I think we covered a lot there.
I think so.
So I hope everyone's a little smarter. I am. You definitely taught me a few things.
Great.
And I hope everybody listening got some education out of this as well. So if you're buying an ADU, don't panic.
That's right.
And talk to me about your YouTube channel. What's going on with that and what's it called and all that so people can find it.
Yeah, so you can actually just search Rick B. Albert, and I talk all things real estate. So buying, selling, investing. I do talk a lot about ADUs, especially cover personal experience.
Right.
And then I also try to talk about what's going on in the news. Okay. Right? Because I think it's really important that people don't panic. Right? There's so much going on right now. interest rates are all over the place right now. So what do we do?
Right.
Right. I just did a video. I haven't posted it yet, but it's like, okay, here's how to handle it. Right. So because we all know, right.
Yeah, hang on.
Hang on for dear life. But I think it's just good for people to know. So that it's more educational is really what I'm trying to gear towards. Of course, I'll have some home tours on there of homes I've sold, things like that.
Yeah.
And I do try to relate it to real life.
Yeah.
You know, what are actual people doing?
Well, that's good. Have you covered a segment yet on there where you're trying to teach home inspectors how to talk better to customers?
Not yet. And not only have I not done that, but this morning I was talking to someone. I want to start climbing into attics and under houses.
You do?
I do. So we can do a video and you can show me what's important to look out for.
Okay.
And I'll suit up.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Okay.
So I think that's be a good subject for you, though, is to, you've had, obviously, before I met you, I'm sure you had a home inspector you hire.
Yeah.
So maybe you could have advice for him. Maybe you have advice for me. You know, look, I don't claim to know everything, but when I'm talking to people, I try to keep it as simple as possible. I may be forgetting something. In your mind, I may be forgetting something. So don't be afraid to put that on your YouTube channel. That'd be good information.
Yeah,
Because
for sure.
I'm always telling home inspectors when they screw up, or when they say the wrong thing, when they panic people, when people use the terms red flags. I don't like using that stuff. I just don't think it's necessary.
Yeah.
To get the job done.
Right.
So I think that would be, because you cover a lot. I've watched a lot of your different segments. You know, you have a lot of different topics. Telling you, that would be one. If there's something on your mind, like, you know, this, why do home inspectors say this? Why do they look at this and not that? Ask questions.
Yeah, for sure. I like it.
Yeah, ask questions. My YouTube channel is about education. It's about helping home buyers, realtors better understand what home inspectors do. I still think there's a huge gap there that needs to be bridged between home inspectors and realtors. It's huge. There's a huge gap there, and I can only try one realtor at a time.
That's all you can do.
It's tough. It's tough. And then when you get the Tom Cruises of the real estate, and the girls who think they're celebrities, they're not easy to deal with.
I can imagine.
I choose not to deal with them.
Interesting.
And if they're really bad, I just ignore their calls.
Oh, wow.
I really do. I don't like being around people who turn me off. Like, I don't like if I don't like them, like if I don't like their personality, we're not connecting, or they just act like they're somebody they're not. I'd rather not even be around them.
And, you know, the problem with realtors, and you can see in some of my videos, like I'm kind of like an anti-realtor because I don't like a lot of them, is it's such a low barrier to entry to get into it.
Yes.
And they're promised so much money.
I know.
And it's like, it doesn't work that way. I had a friend of mine, she's like, I'm thinking about doing it part-time. I'm like, well, to find part-time, I want to bring in like $20,000 to $25,000 a year. I'm like, okay, based on the commission splits.
That's one job, right?
Right, you'd think. I was like, no, I did the math. I was like, between the cuts and the expenses and your taxes, I'm like, you had to sell almost $3 million worth of real estate. Are you prepared to do that?
She only needed 25,000.
Yeah, because you have, so how most brokerages work, every brokerage is different, is some of the money has to go to the brokerage. And that could be anywhere from as low as like 50% to,
wow,
20%. Usually it's an 80-20 split. But then it's like, okay, then you got to put a third of that towards, you have to put a third of it away.
Third of the 20.
No, so I get 80%. The brokerage
you get 80.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. No, otherwise it's like, no, it doesn't work. So how it generally works is you usually keep the majority share, right? Okay. So it could be 80%, then the brokerage gets 20%, not assuming you're on a team. If you're on a team, then your team, total pyramid scheme. Total pyramid scheme.
What?
Yes. This is like, oh yeah.
I'm interested.
Okay.
I'm listening.
Okay. So if you're on a team, meaning, the Albert Group and I have agents underneath me, but I still got to pay my broker. So then everyone gets a cut.
Fuck that.
Yeah. I mean, there's pros.
I couldn't be a realtor. It's,
like I said, every structure is different and it works for some. But yeah, then you have certain expenses, your MLS dues, which is how you post all the properties, insurance, things like that. So you have all those expenses, and then you keep probably about a third of it towards for taxes, which is most entrepreneurs aren't good with money.
Right.
So it starts to dwindle down. So first, there's low barrier to entry. They're promised lots of money, and then they don't realize how important it is to know this stuff. Like, I have such high expectations because I'm looking to buy out of state. I have really high expectations for my realtors because of what I'm doing. Then I learn really fast that it doesn't work.
Yeah. It's hard to duplicate yourself.
Oh, yeah.
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 That's why I don't have any staff. I've tried. I've had a few people come work for me. A couple that I thought were got to be very good and in it for the long run, but they just decided not to. So it's just a lot of training I put in, a lot of stress, a lot of frustration. So I just lost interest in it.
Yeah.
So when I go, so does the company. But I built my brand. I got a great brand.
Yeah.
I worked my ass off to get it where it is today. And that's why I'm doing this podcast. Thanks to a client of mine who encouraged me to do this.
That's amazing.
And so just more education for people. And as far as your YouTube channel goes, you tend to release what, every week, every 2 weeks?
Usually do about once a week. I post a new video.
But you do shorter videos.
Yeah. So typically they're we'll call them like 3 to 5 minutes, and then I'll do the occasional interviews. Right. So I just did an interview with an expert about 1031 exchanges, which is selling investment properties and deferring taxes. So I'll do some of those. So interviews are usually under an hour. And then, my videos are like 3 to 5 minutes. I'm one of those people where like, I don't need a lot of fluff. Right. It's like, here are the facts. Yeah. If you have more questions, people comment. Yeah. One of my most popular videos has over 20,000 views, and it's all about the FHA 203K loan. Right. And it's like, here's what I learned. And then people start asking questions.
That's the whole point. Right. Trying to get people to respond to comments is hard. You got to kind of beg for it. It's like, okay, every 5 minutes. By the way, don't forget to leave a comment. Yeah. If you don't like what I just said, I want to know why. Yeah, absolutely. So anybody listening and watching right now, because there is a YouTube version of this, what we're doing right now. Yeah. That'll come out eventually, probably in the next couple of weeks. So leave comments, please. Ask questions. Rick's gonna see your questions. I'm gonna see your questions, and we will respond as best we can. There's always another question off a topic. All you need is a good guest to generate a conversation, and the sky's the limit. Yeah. People always say, "What are we going to talk about when I bring them on?" I'm like, trust me, dude. I know what to ask you, and as long as I can interview you correctly, get the good information out of you. Right. If you're not willing to give it, I have to pry it out.
Then why be on the show?
Right. But it's some people just get shy. Yeah. They just get camera shy and stuff like that. So ADUs, I think we covered quite a bit there. I can't think of anything else to cover.
I think we covered a lot.
Just remember, if you got an ADU, you can make some money. Yeah. Back. The goal is to get the American dream is to have someone else pay your mortgage. Yep. That's the American dream. So if you haven't heard that, you heard it here.
That's right. That's our goal. Before we buy the next house, we want enough rental income to cover the mortgage.
Yeah. And if you're buying a house and you're going to put an ADU, make sure it's zoned for it. You got to check that too. So make sure your realtor knows what's going on there. So you don't fall in love with that wrong property.
And it happens.
And then you move in and, oh shit, I can't. Now you want to sell it. Now you got to lose money as soon as you sell it. Trying to find something else.
It goes back to setting expectations. So if you're going to your realtor and say, I want to build an ADU, then your realtor needs to know, okay, that's important to them and I need to do my homework. Or bring someone in that knows it. Sure. Right? I've had that where my client is like, okay, I want to build one eventually. So I'm like, fine, spend a few $100s. Let's bring an architect in. Right. Let them take a look at the property and do all that. It's worth the money.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, there, Rick Albert. Thanks again. And I want to tell everybody, I got something to say about you.
Okay. Hopefully good things.
I was really impressed by you.
Thank you.
When I spoke with Ray, he says, John, I have a realtor. He's awesome. First thing he said about you. I'm like, okay, cool. I said, we'll see when I get there. Because I've heard that too many times. So I know what that means. I know what that translates to. And I'm like, well, we'll see. We'll see how he reacts to what I say. And you were totally fine. You were like understanding what I was saying, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, everything was crystal clear.
Did I explain stuff to you? Okay, good.
Yeah, absolutely. You did a great job.
I made sense. You know, I tried to put everything in perspective. And I could tell right away you had his interest before yours. That is something I spot with realtors almost immediately. And that is a big thing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of realtors that do not have that. They have it reversed. They
for
have
sure.
their own interest first. Just buy it, just sign all this stuff, and it's not right.
No.
I don't believe in that. And I don't want to deal with people like that.
No, the realtor industry does need to change. Because you're right.
Yeah.
They need to be less. I mean, the license is called salesperson's license, which is a horrible name. It should be real estate consultant.
It's called
salesperson's license.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, that does not help.
Yeah.
So no, I agree. We need to focus on the knowledge broker. We need to focus on, this is a real estate consultant, an equity consultant.
Right.
That's what I am.
Yeah.
You know, that's really what's more important.
So if you're in the San Fernando, Burbank, Los Angeles, what do you cover? All over?
Yeah. So typically Los Angeles County and Ventura County
Okay.
is primarily where I focus.
Stay out of the city.
No, I'll go into the city.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I've had sales this year from Malibu to San Fernando Valley. I have clients looking in Orange County, which I don't drive that far usually, but
Right. Either, by the way. Only on special occasions.
right.
If I know a realtor and they need me down there, I'll go.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, it's also one of those things where I want to be able to maximize my time
Right.
to serve the best possible for my clients.
Yep.
So luckily I do have an electric vehicle, and the whole point of that was so I can have the $22 carpool sticker. And I just fly by the traffic.
That reminds me, I got a letter in the mail today saying that my toll roads are suspended. I'm like, why is it suspended? Maybe my credit card didn't go through or something. I don't know. I got to check that out. But anyway, anybody looking for a realtor, call Rick. Rick's
happy to help.
a
Thank
straight
you so
shooter, and he's very knowledgeable, and that's why I invited him on the show today, because he impressed the hell out of me in a very short amount of time that I spent with him. And I will see you tomorrow.
Perfect. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thank you.